Khan here for Seconds Out with the one and only George Groves, St. George Groves, I should say, as always. George, very attritional affair from Chris, as it normally always is. How did you assess his performance?
Yeah, not the best from Chris Billam-Smiths, and he's a clever guy, so he knows that for himself. I'm good friends with him, so I can speak the truth. You know, not the best from Chris Billam-Smiths, but when you think about it, the magnificent night he had here in Bournemouth in a stadium where he fulfills a lifelong dream, winning a world title. It is tough to come back, you know, when you've reached the top of the mountain. But this is where he builds his legacy. That's what I tried to. I haven't been part of the camp this time, but I said that to him in the change room before the fight. I said, like, just go, be switched on, do your thing, stick to your game plan, whatever that may be, whatever you come up with. But be focused, be switched on, and be a champion now because you're building your legacy. The first round was decent, but he was sort of pushed. Masternak for me tonight couldn't fight on the back foot. He couldn't fight going back. But then after the first round, Chris was just using too much effort and sort of tightening up to try and drive him back. And then as soon as he did sort of stand still, Masternak was then able to be slightly lighter on his feet and land good punches. You know, Chris is one of them fighters. He always makes you work. Like, he makes it super uncomfortable for every one of his opponents. And of course, he's got a great chin and loads of fantastic attributes. Just basically, led him to become a world champion. And to his credit today, didn't waver in doubt. He was starting to turn the tide, particularly in that 7th round. He started to get, the jab was more effective. I'm from ringside, you're thinking, just get back on the jab, just get back on the jab, like a meaningful jab. Don't try and rush in, don't double, treble up the jab to try and get a right hand off. Just get the jab going, and then from there, push Masternak back, and then get the body shots going, and then I think it was only just 2 shots, and Masternak's a tough dude. So for him to sort of quit on the stall, his first world title fight at this stage of his career, when essentially he might never get another opportunity, he must have been in a bad way, as well as I'm sure did not fancy another 5 rounds or whatever it may be of that intensity from Chris Billam-Smiths, because there's no quitting him. He just keeps going and keeps going.
Chris sought you out and your opinions, I saw at ringside. Is that what you told him in terms of how he performed in the ring? Did you tell him anything additional?
Yeah, no, I said it's good, well done. I said, great, well done, well done. And he's like, not the best. I said, no, it weren't the best, do you know what I mean? But what, we just literally confirmed with each other about what went right and what didn't. Me and Chris, we'd have that conversation at the start of camp, throughout camp. Sometimes it used to be about me, sometimes about him, sometimes in the dressing room straight after a fight, and then sometimes I'll be weeks after, because you like to talk boxing with people whose opinion you respect, and he is calm and confident and competent and intelligent enough to do that in the ring, still cut, still marred, still sweaty. But a magnificent night for him. Gets through this hurdle, sets up for Mega 2024 with some huge fights on the line for him. Whether that be the mandatory that's called, that we believe to be Richard Riakporhe, so I've been told, and that fight can get scheduled in, or the IBF is free now. Maybe down the line, that's an option. He's got a dream of unifying. Who wouldn't? He'll be chasing them mega nights. But Richard Riakporhe fight is to avenge a loss. That's a massive motivation. And of course, other routes are, to build his legacy and hopefully accumulate more titles in the division.
With the confidence that Chris is on, don't worry, you can cough or take a sip of your drink if you like. With the confidence that Chris has in claiming titles, beating Lawrence Okoli, now defending his title, reigning and defending champion, do you pitch him as the favourite against Lawrence Okoli if that rematch happens, against Riakporhe if that rematch happens, against Oppenheimer if that happens, Gulamarian and such forward? Would you place him as the favourite in those fights?
I mean, right Chris Billam-Smiths off at your peril, right? And take the Richard Riakporhe fight, for example. It was close. I thought Riakporhe won or edged it, if I recall correctly, but I think that was a very inexperienced Chris Billam-Smiths, who just used a lot of attributes that he used tonight to get through that fight, but he's a much better fighter now than he is then. Riakporhe has also improved, but I don't think he's improved as much as Chris Billam-Smiths. Whether that means there's a difference in the outcome or not, I'm not sure. I wouldn't pick against Chris. Against anyone. I think Jai Alpatai's performance last time out was sensational, so he's definitely one to be revered. I think he is the Ring Magazine champion. He's fighting Ellis Zoro, another unbeaten fighter. from Britain on that Saudi card. So I'm looking forward to seeing that. So Oppenheimer might be, considered the best, but hopefully they will fight each other. And yeah, certainly do not back against Chris Billam-Smiths, because he's just got that. Some of them things you can't give. You just inherit. His grit and heart and determination. So yeah.
Widening the boxing discussion, a couple of things, and I'll let you go here. That Day of Reckoning event holds some interesting fights. I wonder what your thoughts were on Anthony Joshua's trainer search leading him to Ben Davison. Do you feel it's a good fit for him, and do you feel like the amount of time that they have is enough time to effect a tweak in game plan or change in his style to defeat Otto Wallin and claim titles going forward?
Yeah, I'm not sure the situation why there was a change of trainer, whether it was a logistical problem, whether there was an actual problem or not. But Ben Whittaker, fucking hell. Joshua and Ben Davison. Sorry, Ben Davison is a very good trainer, very good trainer, and he's worked with a lot of good fighters at the highest level. So, and I'm sure he'll want to bring a little something to Joshua, but he's a clever enough trainer to know that doesn't need to try and make wholesale changes or reinvent the wheel. Joshua the same. He's been through the mill. He's vastly experienced now. Should know what works for him. But it could be a really good link up and I'm looking forward to seeing, what they come up with and what it plays out, because Otto Wallin might be a tricky fight, might be a tough fight. At times, Joshua, in particular, when he fought Usyk, I thought that's maybe people now say, yeah, sure, with hindsight, but Usyk's a tricky character. And maybe Otto Wallin, another southpaw, might be a tricky fight. I can't see anything apart from a Joshua win, but you never know.
Finally, you stuck your flag in the mast to say, I think Usyk claims the undisputed crown against Tyson Fury. John Fury said, look, my son isn't as good as he was, strength is declining, a bit of some of his assets and attributes that led him to his greatness are declining, and he maybe needs to change his styles. Is that part of factor you into your opinion to pick Usyk, or is it other things that made you pick Usyk over Fury heading into the undisputed next year?
Usyk is the better fighter. He's in really good form, so that is maybe partly of it. But I just really rate Usyk. I think he's a very clever in that fight. He's the most complete fighter in the heavyweight division. He's a bit of a throwback fighter in terms of his boxing acumen, what he knows about the ring, what he knows about manipulating the people in front of him, whoever he may face. I'm a huge Usyk fan, so he's going to have to contend with a lot of height, reach, size, weight against Fury. But I think he can do it. So I still think he's a favourite. And then obviously after Fury's fight with Ngannou, he's going to have to totally change it up, because he can't come with that energy against Usyk. But that might be the perfect thing for him, to actually get him to knuckle down, make the changes, and adapt, and makes for a much more competitive fight.
George Gross of the George Gross Boxing Club on all platforms where you like to find your podcast. Thank you so much for speaking to SecondsOut, sir. All the best. Appreciate it.
Thank you.